Start this video out in a different way than we normally start our Fight Night Picks videos with a very, very short story. So hear me out. When we were kids, Matt used to sing the chorus of a song by the Police that I feel like he only ever heard one time. And it was called Spirits in the Material World. Do you remember that, Matt?
I don't.
We are spirits in the material world. Well, when you focus on that song, a couple of guys that are spirits in the material world that exist in the UFC's bantamweight division. We have Manaboi, Martinez, coming off of an insane fight against Ronnie Lawrence his last time out, against 2-6 UFC fighter in his second stint with the promotion, D'Iberville, Mississippi's own Brandon Davis. And it's more than the 2-6, but for both of these guys, they're well outside the rankings. This fight doesn't have a lot of divisional importance, but it does have a lot of importance to the guys sticking power inside of the UFC's octagon. For Martinez, this is a guy that was a Fury FC champion, and that's a division that's held a lot of weight and water in the recent memory. And if you look at it, picks up a giant win over Jose Johnson, who's now in the UFC after his second time on Dana White's Contender Series. We broke down his fight on the channel this summer. For Martinez, though, this guy's boxing combinations are insane. He switches stances a lot, sometimes for worse than for better. But for Martinez, mixes in his power shots very well. He can be a very, very fast starter, so cardio was always a question, but in his UFC debut, picks up a win by split decision over the hottest 42-year-old in this division's history, Guido Canetti, a guy who's 2-0 this year. But he wins that fight by split, and there were a lot of extenuating circumstances around that UFC debut. Martinez's longtime coach Saul Solis had just passed, a week or two before the fight. He had a lot of weight to carry, and I don't say that in the trying to make fun of it, but he actually did struggle to make weight for that matchup. And in that one, Martinez really was fighting from behind as it went on. He's able to get the win. He's able to pull it out. And then his last time against Ronnie Lawrence, he struggles. He gets dropped in the second round. He gets dropped early. But my God, did he ever come back in that third round. He looked great.
And that was really nice to see from a guy who normally was sort of a bit of a front runner in a lot of these fights. And against a guy like Brandon Davis, that's one of the first questions you have to ask yourself is, okay, am I going to still be a fresh fighter in the third round? Because if you're not able to get Brandon Davis out of there, he tends to fight at a very similar pace in that first round that he does in the second, that he does in the third. But with Davis, it's interesting. There seems to be two different kind of mindsets that you can have here at MMA fighter. You can either, in the third and second round, when you get tired, fight in a different way, get away from your kicks, maybe wrestle a little bit less. Or when you're at full power, you might have a few more holes in your game, but you fight at a much better pace, and you fight like yourself when you still get tired. And that's what Brandon Davis is. Is Brandon Davis the best fighter in the first round? No, not at all. But if you are able to get past that first 5 minute, or if he's able to get past that first 5 minute round, he does tend to pressure his opponents quite a bit. It's always very interesting to see how his opponents deal with the pressure that Brandon Davis brings, because there is two different versions of Davis. There's the aggressive version who throws a lot of punches. He's very aggressive, goes to the body, goes to the head. And then there's the version who can be, he just sort of waits a little bit. Now, I do feel like Davis has switched that mentality quite a bit, but his last performance, he was aggressive. He was going out there to try to get the win, but Danaa Bakary really started putting power punches on him.
I mean, I'm going to zig just quickly.
He was hitting him, and then Bakary closed the distance, and boom, it was over.
Yeah, Davis almost did a little bit of a shoulder roll, hands down, gets hit by a right hand, and then shakes it off. The fight continues to wear on. Bakary's figuring out his power punching range. Bakary lands on him, and then he just goes ham. He would not stop.
And you would think that against a guy like Bakary, not that Brandon Davis was going to win that fight 10 times in 10 or anything like that, but you thought that was a good matchup for Brandon Davis. It was going to be a competitive fight that was going to go late, and we're going to see who the better striker was between those guys, because they both have their differences, but they are kind of similar fighters. I just didn't like the version of Brandon Davis we saw in that fight. Now, to be fair, that was only 2 minutes, and we might see a much better version the next time out. It's just, after a year off, I thought maybe we would have seen him in the cage one more time against somebody like Amanda Martinez, for instance. Just someone on that Brandon Davis level, but it is a little bit concerning to see that he's been out for this long. Davis isn't the youngest guy at this weight division either, and he has taken a little bit of damage at this point in his career to where I'm a little worried, okay, is Brandon Davis durable enough to stand in the pocket and really be able to use his own skill set to the fullest of his potential? Because for Brandon Davis to go out there and win a fight, he's going to have to eat a couple shots to win that fight, because he does stand in the pocket quite a bit. So it'll be very interested to see if Davis is going to be comfortable eating some of the power shots that Martinez is going to throw back his way.
And I'm eager to see as well, because for Martinez, I touched on it at the start, he will switch stances a lot, but he's not like the type of guy that switches from orthodox to southpaw to throw one leg kick to kind of switch things up a little bit, go back to orthodox, and then continue to unleash with his boxing combinations. He just kind of switches and then switches back, and he'll switch back and forth defensively and offensively, but it doesn't really tend to accomplish a lot. So I'm eager to see. He's been with James Krause. He's had Glory MMA and Fitness as a corner his last couple of fights. I'm eager to see what we get out of him, because the pre-UFC scouting report was Martinez, explosive striker, struggles against the takedowns, and we saw that against Ronnie Lawrence and against Draco Rodriguez on Contender Series. 7 of 8 takedowns against in those 2 fights. Mana's on his back, and he's struggling to get back up. So that's why the takedown defense is so porous. But how can he cut angles against a guy like Brandon Davis? Davis isn't Dominic Cruz in this division. He doesn't have the best footwork that we've ever seen. It's good, and it works for his boxing style, but will Martinez be able to cut things off, implement his own power shots, mix head to body, and then throw like the great left hand that he has to knock out guys like Jose Johnson? And for Davis, you touched on it. I mean, level of competition first round, wild. Like, losses to Zabit, Enrique Barzola, who's doing the damn thing over with Bellator. Zabit Magomed Sharipov, Chikadze. Like, I might have kind of overdone myself there. He had a fight of the night against Steven Peterson. But for Davis, I mean, does he stick around late? That would be the way that he wins this fight, really.
Basically, but both guys do have complementary skill sets. I don't expect a lot of takedowns gone for on either side of this matchup. If either guy does go for a takedown, I would honestly expect it to be Brandon Davis. Not that he's the best wrestler by any means, but he has shown the ability to at least mix it in his fights, to switch up his opponents so they just don't think, okay, I'm only in a striking battle right now. So maybe Davis can use some of his wrestling to his benefit. I just think on the feet, if Davis isn't at 100% to where he can eat the power shots early, he can use his cardio and really weaponize it late, I think this is a difficult stylistic matchup for Brandon Davis, because I do see him eating a lot of power shots throughout this fight. So if he can sustain some of those power shots, and if he can eat the power of Martinez, then maybe, again, Davis can make this an interesting fight late. I just think those first 5 minutes are going to be very interesting for Brandon Davis.
If you look at it, Davis 2-5 in his original UFC run. He won 4 fights in a row outside of the promotion from 2020 to 2021, and then his last time out about a year ago, he got knocked out by Bakary Dana. We have a look at the odds here. They open at par. Martinez minus 160 right now. Brandon Davis plus 140. We have a look at the Tapology votes. Surprised to us as they are to you, Brandon Davis has fought some names, and Martinez has not, but I'm still going to say over under 70% Martinez.
I'll say over.
And it is over. 1,349 total votes. 78% Martinez. 39% by decision, 54% by knockout for the 22% that have Davis, 58% by decision, and 19% by knockout. Matt, can Manaboi get the win, bring it back to Texas?
Just so everyone knows, I wanted this to be on the Fight of the Night screen. Like, that's just how good of a fight I think this is going to be. Again, not because I think either guy's the most skilled in the world. I just think their skill sets are going to make for a very fun fight. We're going to see a lot of boxing. I think we're going to see a lot of very clean shots landed on both sides. I just think Martinez has the slightly heavier hands, and I think those are going to win out. If both guys have about the same boxing technique, which I do believe they do, I think Davis might be a little bit more technical, but Martinez has a little bit more power. I am going to ever so slightly favor Martinez. But again, I really do think this could be a fun fight to watch.
If you want to hit that bingo dabber on the card, we're going to find out who's the true king of pain in this matchup with the police references. I also have Martinez here. I love the mixing of the boxing combinations, picking the power shots, and that lead hand, whether it's the right or the left, really does win out for Martinez, and I think he can catch Davis on the back foot. So for me, I do have Martinez. You might have Brandon Davis in the matchup. The guy is a cardio king. So let us know down below in the comments section who you have here at Bantamweight. Some big-time fights left on this card. I'm excited for Misha, Cirkunov, Alonzo, Menifield. You're not going to want to miss that. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks, we always say.
Let's get into it.